So just to catch everybody up who may not have known what was going on over the weekend, on Sunday I was at an event. It was a fundraiser for an organization here in Seattle's Jewish community, which got targeted by 75 Hamas, Antifa, you name it, every kind of activist you can imagine. The media keeps calling them pro-Palestinian activists. They weren't pro-Palestinian activists. They're waving Hamas flags. They're waving Hezbollah flags. They're waving communist flags. Don't tell me they're pro-Palestinian. All right? If somebody shows up and is waving a Trump flag at an LGBTQ event, are you going to say they're pro that? Like, come on, guys, give me a break. So it's just a nonsensical term that the media uses because they don't want to say terrorist supporters. Well, 3 of the terrorist supporters were arrested, and they were arrested because they started scuffling with attendees. They started scuffling with police. It was violent, very, very violent. They've already been released. I kid you not. These guys have already been released. But the good news is we have the court documents, so we know who they are, and we're tracking down all the information about them and anybody else who had something to do with this. Now, the activists were emboldened because they were released. Now, mind you, why were they released? According to the King County prosecutor, they said they don't have all the evidence they need to charge them yet. Now, sometimes this happens where police haven't uploaded what they need to do or the prosecutors haven't processed what they need to do yet. It doesn't mean charges aren't coming, but I'm a little suspicious of the prosecutor's office because this was the same thing they said about the $1 million in damage to the engineering building at the University of Washington. This was the exact same thing they claimed at the time. So these activists are now out. They are now emboldened. And what did they do today? Well, they heard the same speaker, Noah Kochba, who's former Miss Israel, former IDF medic, was speaking at the University of Washington. So what did they do? They decide to head out to the University of Washington. In the pictures, I saw very few Palestinian flags today. I saw actual Hamas flags. I saw actual Hezbollah flags. I saw the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine flags. These are all U.S. designated terrorist groups. And they were all on the University of Washington campus today to target one person violently again. Joke's on them, though, because Noah Kochba wasn't there. In fact, she's speaking at many, many other places today. She came to this studio earlier today to talk to us. She was here already today. When all the activists thought she was going to be out UW, she was here giving an interview to us in this studio. It's going to run today at 4:30. You get to hear what all the fuss is about. So it was basically a big game of hot potato. It was a big game of hot potato, like in Fast and Furious 7. I'm sorry, Furious 7, where you have Ramsey, who's the one who runs the God's Eye, the computer program that can find anybody in the world, but you got to track her. So you got the guy from Amistad who's shooting at her from the helicopter above, and he's going head-to-head with the street racers. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay, maybe no helicopter shooting at anybody. Maybe no street racers. We didn't use my car at all. But that's what was happening today. So thanks, activists. Appreciate it. You know what those activists are doing at the University of Washington tonight? At a nearby facility. They are having a video screening to materially support the resistance in Lebanon. Do you know who the resistance in Lebanon is? Hezbollah. So you are giving material support to a U.S. designated terrorist organization? Let's see how that works out for you. Yesterday, Harmeet Dillon from the Department of Justice Civil Rights Branch, she announced that she is now investigating University of Washington for anti-Semitism and civil rights violations, specifically because of this movie screening, where you have a group named Super UW saying that they are putting on the movie screening and they are giving the money to terrorists. Now, Super UW was suspended after they caused over $1 million worth of damage to the engineering building last year, but they are still called Super UW. According to a statement I got from the University of Washington, they have asked them repeatedly to change their name and stop using it, and they refuse to do so. So I say, when are you going to hit them with the legal action? If they are using your name, if they are using your logo, if they are using anything like that, when are you going to hit them with the legal action? Sending them a strongly worded letter, they won't understand. Sending them a legal letter, that they will understand. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Eric in Port Orchard. Eric, what's up, man?
Thanks for taking my call. So I've lived in the state for 55 years. I was born and raised around the Puget Sound, and I can't believe what I've seen with the mutilation of children that the state allows, and the schools that are just failing, and businesses shutting down because they can't afford it anymore, especially the restaurants. And I just can't believe that tax revolt has not been. At least I haven't heard it, and maybe that's another way to make it stop. And it doesn't have to be violent, and to get the job done. But
Well, there is a tax revolt going on right now, Eric, and you know about this one. For sure you know about this one, the car tabs, right? We know that
yes,
over 600,000 people aren't paying their car tabs, right? And
right,
so if they're not
right,
paying their car tabs, then that's a tax revolt on its own, right?
right.
In fact, they tried to pass legislation to make us all pay our car tabs because so few of us were
Right.
paying the car tabs, right?
Right. But what about like the businesses too? I mean, I haven't heard any businesses that want to get on that because they would have to lead it because we pay their taxes. I know a lot of people don't quite understand that part, but the customer pays the taxes, and so but the business pays the direct payment to the state, and so I was hoping the businesses would get together and do it, but
Yeah. Well,
on
here's the thing
sales
is that
tax.
the businesses are just saying we're out of here. You know, the businesses
Yeah,
tried to
yeah.
fight a long time ago and they kind of gave up, but now they're just saying, nope, we're out of here. We're gone. So, yeah.
And then I've often thought too, it's maybe too late for that, but I don't know. But yeah, because like you say, most of them are gone, and then the new ones that are showing up probably don't want to start revolting after they just started. But
What I'm more
yeah,
worried about, Eric, I'll tell you this, is the businesses that say no way in hell we're even starting in Seattle. They're just moving somewhere
right,
else, right? That's what we got to
right.
worry about now. Eric, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206 421 5757. That's 206 421 5757. For everybody out there in streaming land, we heard you. We found out the audio wasn't working for our first segment. It is back up and running on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, X, and of course over on Rumble. Up next, my friends, it's Resignation Day up on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Looks like the swamp is draining itself. We'll tell you why and all the salacious gossip when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, it looks like the swamp is draining itself today, my friends. Bipartisan resignations, bipartisan investigations. Man, is it cleaning itself up, or are these just the ones who were really, really bad at it and got caught? Let's start on the other side of the aisle. According to the Post-Millennial, Democratic Representative Sheila Kerfilis McCormick has resigned from Congress after she has been accused of stealing FEMA funds for her own political campaign. An expulsion vote was set to take place to remove the congresswoman, so better to pull a Swalwell and resign before you get removed. That way you can try a comeback later, right? McCormick said in a statement, "This was not a fair process." Okay, hang on a second here. So you're mad because you allegedly stole FEMA money and didn't have your day in court, so you chose to resign beforehand? Uh-huh. The Ethics Committee refused my new attorney's reasonable request for time to prepare my defense. By going forward with this process, okay, they're two different things, lady. They're two different things. If Congress wants to kick you out, they can kick you out. I will not stand by and pretend this is but anything other than a witch hunt. I simply cannot stand by and allow my due process rights to be trampled on. Congress doesn't do it that way. And have my good name be tarnished. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't you guys all vote to do that to the orange guy? Didn't all of you vote to do that to the orange guy with no due process whatsoever? You had the Steele dossier. You had all this stuff that was created by Hillary Clinton's campaign. That's what you did. Hillary Clinton's campaign. You guys set this whole thing up. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. I choose to step away so I can devote my time to fighting for my neighbors in the Florida's 20th District. I choose to step away. Yeah, I want to fight for you, so I'm going to leave so I can fight for you. I'm going to give up the fight so I can go fight for you. Okay. Let me say this plainly. We should be very careful about the precedent we are setting. Oh, enough. We know what you guys did to Donald Trump. It's the same thing. Last month, the House Ethics Subcommittee reported that McCormick was found guilty for allegedly funneling millions of dollars in FEMA funds to her congressional campaign in Florida's 20th congressional district. She is also facing a criminal investigation because of the allegations. She is facing up to 50 years in prison if she is convicted. The Department of Justice accused her of laundering $5 million in FEMA funds that were allegedly overpaid to her family's healthcare company. Then those funds were allegedly laundered over to her campaign. Wow. I mean, really, they got her dead to rights on this one. They really, really do. All right, let's switch it over. Who else we got around here? Representative Nancy Mace announced on Monday that she has introduced a resolution to expel Corey Mills from the chamber, accusing him of sexual misconduct and other misdeeds. She wrote, "The swamp has protected Corey Mills for far too long, and we are done letting it slide. We tried to censure him and strip him from his committee assignments. Both parties blocked it. We are not backing down. The evidence against Mills is overwhelming. Beating women, telling them to lie about it, cyber-stalking women, lying about his military service, profiting off his seat. Any member who votes to keep him here is voting to protect a woman beater and a fraud. He needs to be expelled immediately." So is Corey Mills going to be the next one to go, or does he think he can just survive this? The resolution, first obtained by Fox News, accuses Mills of campaign finance violations, sexual misconduct, misrepresenting his military service, and illicit involvement in federal contracts as a member of Congress. Mace had previously attempted to censure Mills, strip him of his 2 committee assignments in a measure that was overwhelmingly objected by the House in November because the House protects its own. The Ethics Committee investigation is looking into 6 allegations that Mills failed to properly disclose required information on statements to be filed with the House, violated campaign finance laws, regulations with his 2022 and 2024 election campaigns, improperly solicited and received gifts, including in connection with privately sponsored, officially connected travel, received special favors by virtue of his position, engaged in misconduct with respect to allegations of sexual misconduct and or dating violence, and misused congressional resources or status. A Florida judge issued a restraining order against Mills in October for protection against dating violence when an ex-girlfriend accused him of harassment and blackmailing her with nude images and videos. Police also opened up an investigation into Mills in February 2025 over the alleged assault of a 27-year-old woman at his Washington, D.C. property. And that's according to Newsweek, by the way, my friends. Not exactly one of the outlets in my right-wing media booklet. What else do we have here? All right. Let's go to somebody in the Trump administration. We're just getting rid of everybody today. Department of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer became the latest Trump administration official to leave their post on Monday, announcing that she is leaving for the private sector. According to the Post-Millennial, this comes after reports that Chavez DeRemer was under investigation for complaints that she was abusing her position to pursue an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate, and reports that her husband had been banned from Department of Labor's headquarters over allegations of sexual assault against female staffers? Holy cow! You got Noam's craziness. You got Swalwell's craziness. Noam's husband. This is just, it's worse than any of us knew. We all knew this was going on, right? We all knew this. But Secretary of Labor, quote, has been an honor and a privilege to serve in this historic administration. Work for the greatest president of my lifetime, she wrote. Monday evening at the Department of Labor, I'm proud that we made significant progress in advancing President Trump's mission to bridge the gap between business and labor and always put the American worker first. We created new pathways to mortgage-paying jobs, prepared workers to blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, anywho, she's out now, too. How deep do you think this goes? Do you think it's just everybody who's going down? They're like, if we get rid of them, then you know what? The rest of us are safe. Do you think there's anybody who's clean in Congress? House, Senate, administration, D.C., anywhere? You think it's just absolute power corrupts absolutely? You think it's just because they think they can get away with this? You think it's because they got away with this for so long? What's your theory on this? Because this is really just sick. Just sick at this point. How many people? How many more are there? We're going to find out about the Supreme Court justices too, shenanigans they're up to? Man, when they said drain the swamp, this is exactly what they were talking about. Up next, some of your calls, some of your texts, plus also a mass boycott of conservative media outlets has now finally been ended. Does this mean you're going to see more of your social media posts on Facebook and those shadow bans are going to be gone? We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. A lot of conservative media outlets, a lot of conservative sites have seen their traffic restricted. Now, we know there was this leftist organization called GARM, and what they did was they rated different websites about whether it was trustworthy or not, and they would specifically rate websites less trustworthy. So you notice from time to time when you go to a conservative website, all of a sudden all your spam blockers would go crazy. It wasn't necessarily because there was anything wrong with the website, unless you're going to the weird ones. It was because they had been rated badly or they wouldn't show up in search results. A lot of shenanigans was going on. Well, now the Federal Trade Commission has announced a settlement with 3 major ad companies over claims they colluded to implement a brand safety measure through which disfavored content, including conservative media outlets, was effectively boycotted and deemed misinformation, and fewer ads were run. Right, that's another angle on this. So what will happen is you go to an advertising company that does the digital advertising, and you want to say, I want to advertise, and I want this kind of campaign, I want to go to this many people, and they go, okay, well, to do that, we're going to go to these websites, but we're not going to go to those because those get less traffic or they're not as trustworthy, so they weren't getting the same revenue. The ad agencies have now agreed to an order stopping such conduct. FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson, not our Ferguson, different Ferguson, said in a statement, the ad agency's brand safety conspiracy turned competition in the market for ad buying services on its head. The antitrust laws guarantee participation in a market free from conduct such as economic boycotts that distort the fundamental competitive pressures that promote lower prices, higher quality products, and increased innovation. This is one of the kinds of things that actually you had media agencies being rated on how trustworthy they were. So CNN, MSNBC, and others get pushed to the top of the pile, and then they get more advertising dollars. Switching gears for a second here, it looks like somebody sent this through on the text line. I confirmed it during the break, and now we got some breaking news right now for you.
Talk Radio 570 KVI, breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
Apparently the light rail is now shut down in South Seattle, and the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I know some of you listen to us on your way home. Apparently there is a major gas leak going on in South Seattle. KOMO News is reporting that firefighters are responding to a reported natural gas leak Tuesday afternoon in South Seattle. They said they were dispatched on to the 5,000 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Way South and urged people to avoid the area. This apparently happened right after we went on air today. So if you drive along Martin Luther King Way along the light rail itself has been disrupted in South Seattle. For now, if you're going that direction, seek other means of transportation. Otherwise, you're going to have some real problems right there. This one here, a lot of people are weighing in on whether they're going to stay and fight or whether they are completely out of here. So this one here, okay, this isn't productive, guys. You guys saying bye, get out of here, this is good news. This is not productive, my friends. Saying that Starbucks is out of here, not productive. That doesn't help you.
I'm with them, man. See ya. Thanks for coming. I'm with them.
Appreciate you visiting.
I'll enjoy every time I watch a movie like Singles or whatever, and we can reminisce about when we were the coffee kings of the of America.
Oh, you're tired about the stigma. Is that what it is?
No, I'm just saying it's bye.
Just bye.
Let me find that. It's here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Let's just go ahead and play that right now.
You got it? Right there. There you go. Okay, so Kevin's excited about that. Yes, this one here.
I mean, I'm not a coffee drinker anyways.
There you go. Yeah. So I got on the coffee train for a short amount of time, but then I realized what it was doing to my waistline. Hey, as of this morning, I'm down 7 pounds. It's not noticeable yet, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, that ain't drinking coffee, by the way.
No, because it's not coffee. You know the garbage that I order at Starbucks.
That's what I'm saying.
It's basically like an overgrown hot chocolate when I order at Starbucks. Right. All right, this one here. Just wait until Holland America decides to relocate. Is Holland America based here?
Well, there's a giant building down here that has an anchor on it. If you go ahead,
right.
Elliott.
I've seen that building before.
So they're still here. They vacated that building, but they're still here. I think they vacated that building, but they're still here in some capacity, I believe. Yeah.
Now we'll have to do some Googling. I'm sure they're here for the ships, but is their headquarters actually here?
It used to be. So. Yeah. If it is here now, I think it's a smaller footprint.
Right. This one here, Ari, what blueprint did Louisiana use to turn the place red? Well, funny you should ask. I actually asked the Heritage Foundation for their blueprint of what they used for Louisiana so we can use it, but it basically started at the local level. It started at the local level and exposing how these bad policies were hurting people. So here, Ari, not to be negative, but I see the liberal rich who have re-domiciled while still owning property here, pouring millions into ads and re-election campaigns to maintain eco-socialist control of Washington State. That's John in Lakewood. Not wrong, by the way. Not wrong, by the way. That is a problem. But I think there's a lot more people who are sticking around and fighting who are actually now on our side. I think this is something to keep an eye on. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, my friends. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I would be lying to you if I said it was going to be easy. It's just not. Around a few other ones here. This one, oh, that's very nice of you, Robin Lakewood. Congratulations on Israel's 78th birthday anniversary. That actually starts more tonight. Today is Memorial Day in Israel, where they actually, my son told me this morning, they assign members of the army who are not actively in combat. My son's not actively in combat. They assign them to stand in certain cemeteries and help people out and stuff. That was actually his job this morning. This one here, which is when we're looking at this, Ari, you have to put today's politicians in the same categories as the cartels that are ruining our great country. I don't think you're wrong about this. This one from James. Ari, just a question. Why would someone drive a vehicle without a front license plate? Have several in my neighborhood. I thought it was illegal. A question for your listeners. Okay, James, as somebody who does not have a front license plate on his vehicle, it really throws off the lines of my car. That's number one. Number two, who's going to give me a ticket? Number three, I think it's the back one that is required here in Washington State. I don't think the front, I don't want to misspeak at a turn, but I'm pretty sure it's the back one. That's the important one.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Holland America, yes, apparently still headquartered in Seattle.
Okay.
No longer down in that building, but over in a building on 3rd here. It looks like this is a Google machine.
Sure.
Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
By the Church of Scientology down here.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right across the street.
Well, I mean, they're into spaceships, right? Okay. That's cool. That works out. Ships, spaceships, boat ships, everything. Okay. Anywho, lots more to discuss as the show continues. Up next, my friends, more info on those ballots found by the Washington State GOP. The investigations have begun. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, a local teacher is fired for accidentally showing dirty pictures to kids during a slideshow. But before we get to any of that, my friends, hey, the economy's rough and gas prices around here are absolutely outrageous. So now is your chance to win $2,000 in cold, hard cash. That's right, my friends. We are giving away $2,000 as part of our Pay Your Bills contest. KVI will give you $2,000 to pay your bills. All you have to do is text the word I give you to the number I give you. Do not text your name. Do not text your phone number. Do not text your email address. Do not text me your social media profiles. Do not text me through your social media profiles. Some of you have been doing that. You just text it to the number I give you. And just the word itself. Today's word is award. As in, I'm going to give Seattle an award for screwing up the most and chasing out Starbucks. As in, I won an award when I was in second grade for baseball. As in, $2,000 would be a really nice award for you. Text the word award, A-W-A-R-D, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Good luck, my friends. And now, after we're done with our friends from our Pink Floyd in-house cover band, we got breaking news for you right now.
Talk Radio 570 KVI. Breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
Earlier in the show today, we announced that Starbucks is restructuring its technology division. Restructuring is another term for layoffs, and they did announce that there will be layoffs, but they will not admit they're in Seattle. We know that Starbucks is opening a new corporate headquarters in Nashville. We know that they are actually giving up a lot of their space here in Seattle, and even though everybody keeps saying they're not leaving, they're not leaving, they're not leaving. Oh, they are gone. They are leaving. Bye-bye. Goodbye. So, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson never responds to my request for comment. Never, ever, 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 ever. Neither does Bob Ferguson. So I turned to one of my friends over at Northwest News Radio and I said, hey, Aaron Wright, can you do me a favor? Would you mind sending a request for comment over to Katie Wilson's office for the fact that Starbucks is now leaving Seattle? And fresh in my hands, Aaron actually printed this up for me, rather than emailed it to me, sent it over, came over to my studio to hand deliver it to me. And he gave me this. This is a statement from Katie Wilson's office. Katie Wilson, you might remember, went down to protest Starbucks the day she got inaugurated, the day she won the election, joined the picket line with the people attacking a Seattle company. And now their headquarters is moving. She went to join the Ventifada. So here we go. Here's the statement. All right, I'm ready for this. Okay, here we go. It's going to be art. It's going to be poetry. Starbucks is a core part of Seattle's identity. We're proud to be home to its first store, its headquarters? You're not home to its headquarters anymore, lady. They are at, what do you mean you're home to its headquarters? And that first Starbucks store isn't even the first Starbucks store. We all know this, right?
I mean, the headquarters is still here. She's not wrong.
Okay.
She's not wrong. It's
Okay.
still, I mean, I'm just saying the way it's written, she's currently correct.
Okay. So the Mets are not out of the postseason yet. Technically, they still have a chance at the postseason. But no team in Major League Baseball has ever made it to the playoffs after an 11-game losing streak. Ever. Is that what we're saying here?
I'm just saying currently that is what it is. And even in that article at Como,
Yes.
it even at the end of it says something to the effect of, oh, this is they can run from headquarters in both, they're
still trying.
They're still trying to hold on to that.
Okay. So that's like when you see a really good-looking girl and she shoots you down, and then all of a sudden you like try and go to her friend and you're like, hey, can I have her phone number?
Well, I don't know, because that would have been I've been married for like
I'm saying like 20 years ago when you're
20
dating.
some years ago.
And then she goes, oh, she still wants to be friends, and you go, oh,
Yeah,
so you're
sure.
saying there's a chance.
I guess that's close to that.
Okay, sure, whatever.
Okay.
Maybe not the best analogy. All right. Anywho, Starbucks is a core part of Seattle's identity. We're proud to be home to its first store, its headquarters, and so many of the workers who make the company what it is. We're focused on maintaining a strong partnership with leadership and employees so Starbucks continues to succeed in the city where it all began. How many stores have they closed that we've covered on the show here that were high traffic? You call that success? You think that's success? You're now laying off people here. You bought a new headquarters out in Nashville, Tennessee. You call this success? If you consider this success, I'd love to know what your definition of losing is, a failure. Oh, Katie Wilson. Actually, I should say this was written by Sage Wilson. I don't believe they're related, but Sage Wilson is her comms director. Sage Wilson, by the way, you can always spot Sage Wilson. They're the ones wearing the keffiyeh from the mayor's office in a crowd. They're always the one doing that. That's right. This is Katie Wilson. This is your city. This is your city. Oh, this is just stupendous. This is just great.
One other quick thing before we move on. Listener Valerie from Duval called up and said, yes, it is now. You have to have a license plate on the front and the back. I'm sure someone wrote it in the text message.
You have no idea how many texts we've gotten about this.
And she says it's been for about a year or more now.
Yeah. So the amount of texts we've got, in fact, who's the one who sent this here? Wait, I want to get this right. Jeremy sent us the RCW, the actual Code of Washington, that, yes, you do need a license plate on the front and the back. So make sure you actually have those. This one here from Dennis. It is illegal to not have a front license plate in Washington. I've gotten a ticket for it before. Dennis, I'm not calling you wrong. When was the last time you got a ticket in Seattle for anything? Kevin and I did this the other day, right? When's the last time you got a ticket in Seattle for something other than parking?
And I was wrong. Wrong. Never. Other than parking, never for me. I said, you asked when was the last time I got pulled over?
Yeah.
And then after I said it on air, we were talking about it, and I think you're right. I think it was a state trooper that pulled me over where I was at.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever been pulled over by a SPD ever.
And that explains part of the problem. You do these road diets and people drive like maniacs. And here's something else, Kevin, because I try to be a nice guy. I reached out to the Seattle City Council and I reached out to Council Member Rob Saka, who wants to redo this whole thing. And I said, I would love to have you on the show. Come on the show. And I've never bashed Rob Saka before, to my recollection. I may have to double check that. I don't remember making fun of him. I don't want to speak out of turn. For all I know, I have horribly made fun of this guy before, but I don't remember if
it's a good thing. It's very difficult to go back in the archives of audio that's been out there for...
Exactly. Yeah. Very hard to do. But anywho, I don't remember even talking about Rob Saka, aside from I think he was pro-police one time, and I was like happy about that. That's all I remember about him. So I said to the Seattle City Council comms person, hey, I would love to have him on the show. I think it would be great to have him on the show. We could discuss policy. What does he think is causing this? Is it no police? What is it? Hang on, I'm going to check here. Did we get a response back from him yet? Hang on a second here. Oh, no, nothing yet. It's only been 5 days or whatever it's been since we reached out to his office.
I'd like to slip in as well. I'd like to keep the trend going. So anybody at the SPD listening, just keep not pulling me over, please.
All right, here's what we'll do. We'll put an official request out for the Seattle Police Department. If you have a KVI Back the Blue sticker, you know that we are the only ones in town that support you guys, so please don't pull over our listeners.
And I hate to say I don't have one of those in my car.
Oh, Kevin, you're killing me.
I live in Seattle, man.
Yeah,
I'm going to get my window broken out.
I know what you're saying. That listener who sent us the picture a while ago, I forget which listener it was. They sent us a picture. They've got the Back the Blue sticker. They've got the KVI Keep Right sticker. And they also have a giant turd emoji, the poop emoji, and it says Turd Ferguson on it. I'm like, that is an Ari Hoffman Show listener right there. You are a special person. Now watch what's going to happen. The entire text line is going to blow up with people going, where do we get the Turd Ferguson emoji? Where do we get that? If we get an online store, I want the Turd Ferguson emoji for your car. I want that everywhere so that everybody can have a Turd Ferguson emoji.
I guarantee you that this person lives in like Snohomish or Duval, like Valerie, somewhere out there where it's safe to have that many stickers of that type on their vehicle.
And by the way, this wasn't one of these cars that looks like you're covering over dents with stickers.
Right.
This was a nice vehicle that had all these stickers on it. Normally, the more beat up ones are the ones with all the bumper stickers.
Yeah, the worst that I see are the liberal, like old It's usually like an old Subaru, and the back is just a billboard of stickers that are saying like it's just that's such an eyesore. You're parked behind it, and you're like, oh my God!
You know what,
I'm being lectured while I'm driving to Chick-fil-A. I'm being lectured.
That's what I like to do. I like to pass them and hit the gas as much as I can because I know they definitely got one of those, clean energy or whatever nonsense it is. And I blow past them as fast as I can. And I always look as I go by to see if they're wearing a mask because 9 times out of 10, they are. Yes, those are the worst drivers ever. Ever, ever, ever. Actually, here, poll for our audience, okay? If we need to order new bumper stickers, do you guys want stickers or you want the magnets? Because I know some people don't want to put them on their car and they want to be able to take them off.
Yeah, and sometimes you can do those inside clings now, too.
Yeah, the clings also. Yeah. I think those may be the better way to go down the road. So that way, if you're coming to Seattle, you don't want your car getting keyed. You have to weigh the pro cons. Switching gears, back to news of the day, my friends. It looks like now the U.S. Postal Service is investigating what happened with those hundreds of ballots that were found near a dumpster in Renton. According to King 5, a box of ballots found next to a dumpster in Renton is now drawing federal attention as investigators work to determine how they ended up there and whether any laws were broken. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service confirmed to King 5 it is aware of the situation and investigating. Wait a second, Kevin, I think we need to take a moment and reflect here for a second. Seattle Times did a good story today. King 5 is doing good news today. What is happening? It's like up is down, left is right, BA is select start. Crazy things happening around here today. At the same time, the Washington State Republican Party says it's conducting its own review of the ballots, which party chair Jim Walsh said were turned over by a Good Samaritan earlier this year. Now, Jim Walsh, Representative Walsh, chair of the GOP, is coming on the show tomorrow to actually discuss this. But if you missed this last week, what happened was Representative Walsh posted a video to social media where he was talking about what he found outside this dumpster. I'll just play a little bit of it for you so you know how serious this really, really is.
Hi, it's Jim Walsh here with breaking news. Earlier today, a concerned citizen contacted me and came and dropped off at the Bellevue headquarters a large box of ballots, Washington State ballots, specifically King County elections ballots, that were mailed to people and never received or maybe returned to an original post office box, mail box address. And the concerned individual, a fellow, found these ballots in a box on the ground next to a dumpster behind a strip mall in Renton. He looked in the box, saw it was ballots, hundreds of ballots, many from the 2024 general election, but others from 2025, 2023, 2022, basically multiple Washington elections between 2022 and 2025 last year. Didn't know what to do. He realized there was something wrong, that all these ballots were just sitting there in a box on the ground next to a dumpster. So he picked up the box, he put it in his truck, and then he called first King County Elections, because they're the ones who sent the ballots out. No response, no interest. Then he called the State Secretary of State, Steve Hobbs, that office. No interest, no response. Then he called his federal Congress member, their office, no interest, no response. Then he reached out to me. This is proof that in Washington State, we need to do better to improve the security and integrity of our mail-in voting system. This is proof of the broken chain of custody that makes secure elections impossible in Washington State.
So now, aside from the postal inspector, there's also reports that the FBI may be opening an investigation into this. It's crazy to me how much us conservatives are begging for federal intervention, But if Kash Patel is dealing with this, I actually think it will get solved. Now, Steve Hobbs' office is denying anybody ever contacted them. My guess is here's what probably happened. Probably they got receptionist lady or man or whoever, and the person in the office goes, oh, that's nice, sir. Yep, that's nice. Pat, tussle. My guess is that is what happened over there. I think 100% that is what happened. I don't think it's nefarious necessarily. I think they get these kind of crazy calls all the time, and this one turned out to be accurate. I mean, look, we know there's other things that are issues with our ballots, but this one, it looks like, turned out to be 100% accurate, and that's why we're having Representative Walsh on the show tomorrow, specifically to address these claims and see what's going on. This is huge news, by the way. And I can't believe that King 5 was one of the ones that was covering it. I cannot believe that Como, Fox 13, Cairo, everybody, Seattle Times, everybody is covering this because it's a huge problem. For the left, they want to investigate this because they want to say there's no there. Okay, it was an accident. You know, some postal inspector did something wrong, whatever. It was accident. It should have been shredded, whatever. But they need to prove that the system works. And for everybody in our world, we need to prove that the system doesn't. But the issue here is if something like this can happen, the system doesn't work. Even if you give me some lame excuse, which happens to be true, it proves the system does not work. Do you guys have confidence in our electoral system here in Washington and our vote by mail system? Let me know. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. This one here, Pam in Lake Stevens. She says she got pulled over by a nice trooper even with the appropriate stickers for expired tabs. Very good, Pam. Oh, I told you this was going to happen, Kevin. From the 253, where can I get the Turd Ferguson sticker? I knew this was going to happen. See, exactly.
Yeah, I knew when you threw it out there. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Somebody made the turd. Somebody made it. Somebody emailed it to me. Somebody even sent me a link of where to order it, and I don't know what I did with it. If you are listening right now, and you are the maker of the Turd Ferguson sticker, we want to recognize you, sir. I remember it was a sir. We want to recognize you. And we want to give you some business with the Turd Ferguson sticker for the car. It was a cling, I think it was, for the back window deal. This one here, Ari, about a year ago, I was driving my company vehicle on 4th Avenue, got pulled over by Seattle police for bad tabs. Shut your face. You did not. Eben, I don't believe you. You don't get... Okay, fine. I believe you. I explained to the officer my shop guy must have forgotten to give me new tabs. He gave me a ticket while we were pulled over next to a bunch of RVs that were completely unregistered. Now I believe your story. I believe your story, but I 100% believe your story. Hey, by the way, I found out where all the RVs from Soto are going. I found the spot. So over on Airport Way where it cuts over onto Lucille by the train tracks, there's just this area where it used to be the Somali truckers were always working on their trucks. Somali truckers are all gone now. But next to the tracks, this massive RV thing is just growing and growing. And the other day I was so mad when I was out there. I'll tell you why I was mad. They have the giant bins from Waste Management out there as if they're all their own homes. You know the blue ones you get for your house? They have garbage and recycling. Garbage and recycling being given to the homeless. And for those of you who go, oh, Ari, maybe they stole them. Every single one of them having one. And in addition to that, they got the purple bags from the city, which the city goes around to give the homeless for their trash so they can clean it up. No. The city knows damn well what is happening at this encampment and isn't doing anything about it at all. Ugh, crazy stuff. This city. Speaking of this city, well, it wasn't technically this city, but it was this state. A teacher showed dirty pictures to kids in the classroom by accident and now had to resign. We're going to tell you what happened when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Speaking of American idiots, a teacher at Glacier Peak High School in Snohomish has resigned after accidentally exposing students to images of naked boobs during a PowerPoint presentation. Now, you may say to yourself, how do you accidentally expose a bunch of children to naked pictures when you're giving a PowerPoint presentation? I'm not entirely sure of if it was actually a PowerPoint presentation, but from the pictures I saw of the incident, you know, sometimes, depending on which program you're using, your computer displays other pictures at the bottom. So you select one picture in the reel and it pops up, oh, look, there's Ari and his wife, and isn't that lovely? And down below you see, oh, there's Ari and his kid, Ari in his car, Ari on the beach, whatever it is, all down below. So apparently, whatever picture they were looking at the time, down below, you were seeing the boob pictures. Or maybe it was PowerPoint from Mac. I don't know how. I use PowerPoint on the Microsoft, on the PC, on the Surface. And I know that if it's in the editing feature, you see other slides on the side. But then all of this begs the question, why do you have a bunch of pictures of boobs on your laptop? That's the question we got here, right? Are you a breast augmentation surgeon in your spare time? Is that what's going on? How did you not realize what you were showing to the kiddies? You don't immediately load the thing up on the screen and go, oh no, close the laptop. All right, we're going to do this a different, unplug it. You don't do that right away. Instead, you just kept going with the PowerPoint presentation where the kids had enough time. Okay, let's be fair. Kevin, I need you to time me for a second here. We're going to do a quick thing here, okay? So I'm a kid in class at a Snohomish school, Glacier Peak High School, which means I am probably on my phone. Okay. I'm on my phone, and the kid next to me, psst, Ari, there's boobs, right? Whoa, phone's up. Okay. All right. Or you have to do the quick look, then the phone's up. What are we talking about? 3 seconds? 2 seconds? Huh? Something like that? 3 or 4 seconds? That should be enough time.
Yeah, I may have started it a little early.
Yeah.
I got 6 seconds.
6 seconds. So in 6 seconds, the teacher who's giving the presentation doesn't look at the screen and go, oh no. I mean, that's like 3 seconds, right? 3 seconds to shut down the laptop or minimize the screen or anything. You got enough time where all the kids in the classroom had time to take pictures of this thing and send it out to their friends? You should resign. In fact, you should be fired. But okay, we kind of wonder why all this is there. The incident occurred when images stored on the male teacher's laptop became visible to students as thumbnails during a classroom presentation. Screenshots of the images apparently began circulating around the school following the incident, according to King 5. The Snohomish School District sent a letter to parents last week stating, it is our understanding that these images have since been viewed by many others beyond the classroom, and we want to give you an opportunity to process with your student if you chose to do so. All right, I know how this conversation is going to go down between a lot of people. So wait a second. This was just up in the class. I can imagine my kid coming home. Well, this would never happen at my kid's school, but I can imagine my kid coming home. You won't believe this, Dad. You won't believe what was on the screen today. What was on the screen today? Well, teacher accidentally put some boobs up on the screen. Can you imagine having that conversation with your kids? You did what? Who did who? What? Huh? What? Parents who spoke with King 5 said they were stunned by the incident. Quote, when you have that position, you have to have a heightened sense of what you're doing. Oh, you think? I guess you should be monitoring what you put on your laptop before you show an entire classroom of kids something else on your laptop. Wait a second, I got a question. Was this a school-provided laptop? This one here, I know if I had a job and it happened to me, I'd be fired immediately. Sources tell King 5 the teacher's resignation made a termination unnecessary. Yeah, but here's the little thing. Now it doesn't go in their file. Remember, we discussed a couple weeks ago how when a teacher resigns, quits, any of that kind of stuff, now it doesn't go into the mass database of what the problem was. Instead, now this teacher can be hired at another school. And you got to wonder why there are naked pictures on their laptop and that they didn't even notice it was happening when they were showing it to a classroom filled with children. The Snohomish School District declined to comment to King 5 News on the incident any further than what they already gave. Yeah, okay. Lot of questions with this here. Were there other incidents? Is this going to be one of these cases where, oh yeah, that guy? Because there's only 2 reactions to the teachers when you find out they're a sex pest or something? What are the two reactions? No, they never would have done that. And the other reaction of, yep, saw it coming a mile away. Saw it coming a mile. There was this one teacher who we all used to make fun of. We're like, as soon as we found out that guy was actually going to jail, yep, saw it coming a mile away. Absolutely. You know what Antifa didn't see coming a mile away? We were playing hot potato with somebody they were targeting in town. They were in the studio a little while ago when the Antifa activists showed up to University of Washington to target their event. Up next, our interview with former IDF combat medic and Miss Israel Noah Kochba and Randy Kessler from Stand With Us, the event which was targeted by Antifa and pro-Hamas activists over the weekend. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Well, for the radical activists that are hanging out at the University of Washington campus, I hate to disappoint you, but the person you showed up to protest is not actually there. They are here in my studio right now. There was an event scheduled for Saturday night by my good friends over at Stand With Us Northwest, which is a great organization that combats anti-Semitism and supports Israel. My kids have been their youth interns. We have given money to this organization. Yes, I support the Zionists because guess what? I am one. And I was really looking forward to hearing Noah Kochva, former IDF medic and former Miss Israel, speak about her everything that's happened, her whole experience. And unfortunately, I didn't get to hear the speeches because I was outside dealing with Antifa and dealing with radical activists. And my wife, I had to escort her to the car because the radical activists were actually yelling and screaming at her and my 15-year-old daughter because they're oh so tolerant. But I figured, hey, you know what? Let's bring her in studio and hear what she has to say. Joining us now in studio, Noah Kochva. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being here today. So tell me, have you had this kind of reaction when you go to other cities before?
Yes. It was actually, this was one of the worst ones because they always like message me whenever I go to different places. They're like, we don't want you in our city, but they never actually act and do something. Mm-hmm. I had only one time when I was going to San Francisco. So they also found out that I'm going to be there, that I'm going to speak there. And they actually also organized a protest outside. I was speaking at a synagogue, and outside of the synagogue, it was actually raining that day, so it was just a realization that these people came out on rain with umbrellas and protest against me. It was insane because also they came with gowns, tiaras, and they made these like fake sashes, like of beauty queens, but instead of Miss Israel, they wrote Miss Genocide, Miss Ethnic Cleansing, Miss Baby Killer, Miss Information, all of these kind of things. And it was really insane. They were just outside waiting for me. The same that happened 2 days ago.
Now, I saw they were absolutely losing their minds this time. The Seattle Police Department had to come in. They brought about 50 officers. They broke up the crowd. They arrested 3 people who have now since been released.
As
Don't
they
get me
should.
started on that.
Yeah.
But the fact that they released them was a whole nother thing, which...
They've just been released?
They just released them, and I am not happy about it. But that's for another discussion for another time. We'll talk about that. But the thing that really bothers me is I don't think people know what IDF medics do. So what does an IDF medic do?
So an IDF medic, every place in the military, you treat people. But I say people, I say not only Israelis, not only Jews, but also people that got injured from all ethnicities, from all races, from every single, every single place. Because when you are finishing the military course of how to be a combat medic, you take an oath. And within that oath, you are swearing to say, I'm going to treat every person, no matter if it's my loved one or if it's my enemy. And this is the exact translation taken from that combat medic oath. So you don't really get to choose and pick who you're treating and who you're going to help and give medical assistance, because this is something that the IDF, one of the main values in the military is the value of life, period. It doesn't really matter which life are they, because in our eyes, not in our enemies' eyes, the value of life comes first. Every person's life, because every person is a soul. Every person, even if our enemies, they're the worst human beings that can be, they're still people. And we don't get to choose as combat medics, as people that are giving help, as people that are treating other people, who we're going to save and who we're going to treat. And that's why even in the war, I've treated Palestinians and also every single medic that we're serving at that time, and in general, I get actually so many messages from combat medics throughout from so many times, even like from 10 years ago. And that's what people don't understand. Combat medics actually treated terrorists, actually treated Palestinians, and they give them help. They give them medical care, which is like, to me, how can you even, start even to say all this nasty thing, like these people were calling me a baby killer when I was actually like saving other people's life and treating people. So it's just absurd to me.
They were saying that to the elderly people walking in, people who've never served.
Yeah, people that have never
before.
served in that. Yeah,
No.
people that have, all they did was probably like be here, be happy, live a beautiful Jewish life, quiet, and these people just accuse them at so many things that they have no connection at all.
Right. Now, we're also joined in studio by Randy Kessler. He's the director of Stand With Us Northwest. And Randy, this was your event. And I've worked with Stand With Us a very long time. Stand With Us does great work in combating anti-Semitism. Did you notice the irony of Noah being on stage discussing anti-Semitism and the anti-Semitism she's faced, and then a pack of 75 rabid local activists outside basically calling us every slur in the book?
It's unfortunately the reality that I've become accustomed to, particularly over the last 2.5 years since October 7th, when the level of vitriol and hatred, open hatred, not just for quote-unquote Zionists, but now Jews who are, regardless of their Zionist leanings or not. We saw Temple Israel, for example, which is a synagogue targeted for violence in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, because their name had Israel in it. Had nothing to do with Israel. But unfortunately, I've become all too used to seeing these unhinged activists yelling and screaming. That being said, this was still not exactly what we had expected.
Right. And I'll say this also, is that they tried to stop the event. You still had over 300 people at the event. You still raised a good amount of money. I still have to give you my donation, which I have not done yet. This is my moment, which I actually have to do that. But you still had a very successful event. Now, forget what's going to happen next year. I'm sure things will be changed for next year with security and things like that. But I look at this, and did people who may not have been fully on the side of Israel, on the side of America, have their eyes open last night? Because you bring in a big cross-section of people. There are people who are picking political fights with me at the event, for example. But you bring in a broad cross-section of people to your events who don't agree with each other politically.
100%.
Did some people have their eyes opened?
Yeah. To your point, we are officially a nonpartisan organization, and we really do welcome people from across the political spectrum, both as far as American political opinion and Israeli political opinion. There are many of people who are Stand With Us supporters and who are supporters of Israel's right to exist, who are not big fans of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Right? And that's A-OK. We are a big tent organization from that perspective.
Gotcha.
I just want to add something that these people probably think that they won because they ruined a little bit our event. But I don't know if they're hearing, but the event was beautiful. And the people had the best time. It was so meaningful to listen also to these courageous students that are fighting on campuses every single day. So this is the most important thing, that I think that all the people that came, not only that they saw what the result and what is going to happen if we're going to stop fighting this fight, because then more people like this crazy lunatic will come. But they also felt like it was a very meaningful event.
Yeah.
And I think this really should be a moment of clarity, to answer your question, for people who are watching this and wondering how they feel about this. I saw many comments, for example, on social media saying, for example, look, I personally have, not a fan of the Netanyahu government, for example, or I have my criticisms of Israel, but this is not okay. Mm-hmm. This is
violence
100%.
is never the answer.
Yeah.
Never.
And it should be a clarifying moment for us. Just like right now, we are watching earlier today, people waving Hamas and Hezbollah flags at the University of Washington.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're dealing with really not pro-Palestinian activists. We're dealing in many cases with terror supporters.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, they're under investigation right now by the Justice Department. In addition to that, one of the groups that's on campus today that came to target you, sorry guys, she's not there. They came to target you.
We are going to a different
They're
place.
going somewhere else completely different venue. I love the head
We
fake.
were tricking them.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so fun to troll them.
It really is, because then they just lose their minds and they look like morons. But they're materially raising money, material support, as they said it, for Hezbollah tonight, which is literally giving material support to a terrorist organization, which is why they're under investigation. Noah, before we let you guys go, question for you. Your unit in the IDF.
Yeah.
I talked to my son, who's also in the IDF, and I said, so what things have you learned that aren't true at all about the IDF? And he goes, well, they should see how many Arabs are serving in my unit.
That's
they should
true.
see how many people have a different color skin than me. What was your unit like?
First of all, my unit we were about 4 girls, 4 women, and with men. And we were doing the exact same things that the men did. And I think this is something that not a lot of people know, because you know that in the military in Israel, as an Israeli, you know that women are the same as men in the military. And slowly, it's starting to change even more, that women can become in almost every combat role that you want. So I think it's really important to clarify that women are like, like, we are so good. And it just to be a part of a military that is like, when we are striking Iran and there is Israeli pilots in the sky fighting a regime that is oppressed women every single day, I think that's the biggest victory as an IDF, and just being a part of this best military in the world.
I can see exactly why my daughter looks up to you. And she was so disappointed that she missed your speech the other night because she was hanging out with me looking at the lunatics, but she was
We're
very,
sending
very
you
happy to see
love.
it. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Randy, if people want to donate to Stand With Us Northwest, what's the best way for them to do so?
We are online at standwithus.com/donate.
Thank you. Noah Kokva, Randy Kessler, thank you so much for being with us today. And to the activists, you'll have to try again, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry you missed her today.
Am Israel Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just want to remind everybody, we are giving away four tickets to the Bremerton Air Show, which is going to be July 11th through 12th at the Bremerton National Airport. This contest is only online at kvi.com. You're going to have so many amazing airplanes to look at, like an F-86 Sabre. You're also going to have a P-40 Kitty Hawk, an F-6F Hellcat. So much more is going to be there, including a PBY Catalina. Bremerton Air Show will have something for everyone of all ages. To get all the information, head on over to bremertonairshow.com. And don't forget, we will be out there as well. So head on over to kvi.com right now for your chance to win. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from our friend Transit Joe, who's had a rough day. Transit Joe, what's going on, man?
What's going on is, dude, I'm on like the penultimate bus home after taking the buses from Skagit County. I wanted to meet Noah Kochva, and all I got was some video of me walking through terrorist flags, man. I mean, I wish Noah had the guts to show up.
Well, I think what happened here, Joe, is the university could not guarantee her safety after what happened the other night. And I think whatever security company they're using, not my security company, but whatever security company they're using may have not been up to the task, and then you can't put somebody at risk like that. Now, here's the other thing, is that she did go to multiple other events to speak while the activists were at UW. But the good news is I'm sure if you send her something on social media, maybe she'll send you a message back.
Well, I definitely would like an apology, because I did message her saying, hey, where are you? I was literally on the white rail heading to Seattle City Council to demand they condemn anti-Semitism.
Well, Joe, let's be fair. She doesn't know who you are. So if a girl gets a message from some guy, she doesn't know who he is. Where are you? That probably doesn't come off well to the young lady, right?
It may not. I'll check with what exactly I said and apologize and rephrase.
Okay. I mean, look, at this point, it's too bad you didn't get to see her. You should have come to the event, Joe. You could have come Sunday night and seen both the activists.
Here's the problem, Harry.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I am disabled. Skagit Transit ends at 6 o'clock on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
I have no ride home.
I gotcha. So, Joe, let me ask you this. How was it out at UW today? What was it like? Were they nice to you?
But they followed me around a bit. They heckled me. They didn't like the fact when I called them out for, quote, silencing Jewish voices, end quote.
Wow. Joe, you're a brave man. You're a brave man. You're disabled, and you still went to University of Washington to go head-to-head with the activists. I'm very proud to know you as a person. I know you and I disagree on politics from time to time, but for the last 3 years, in fact, the entire time we've had the show, you are always willing to engage. And even when I disagree with your perspectives, Joe, you're a special person. You know that?
Well, thank you, because I really appreciate that after today, because I really went out of my way to try to show my support and, with the capabilities I had. And I definitely would have appreciated an apology for that, because, God, man, these people were just awful. I mean, Bennett and all. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. We didn't leave, but Bennett was out there too. Wow. We should have just put on the Ari Hoffman Show throughout the quad. That would I think that would have really stirred them up to an absolute zany craziness. Joe, God bless you, my friend. Appreciate you being a fan of the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything. Let me see what I can do for you. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757, my friends. So I got to look around at the text line a little bit. We now have the person who makes the Turd Ferguson stickers. We're going to see if we can make a deal for everybody out in KVI. But right now, up next, my friends, lots more to discuss as the show continues, including what's going on with Iran. J.D. Vance and the crew did not leave to go negotiate. Does that mean the ceasefire is about to be on the rocks? We'll give you the latest details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, you can't use cameras to secure everybody for the World Cup, but apparently you can use the cameras on drones. I kid you not. This is the latest plan. But before we get to any of that, got some more breaking news for you right now.
Talk Radio 570 KVI. Breaking news on the Ari Hoffman Show.
Our amazing listener, Beth, just sent me this email. Earlier in the show, we were talking about how Jim Walsh is coming on the show tomorrow to discuss the hundreds of ballots that were found unopened in Renton next to a dumpster from King County elections. We told you that the U.S. Post Office, the Post Office Inspector General, is looking into this. We also told you the FBI may now be looking into this. The audio we played you from Jim Walsh from the video he posted to social media was talking about how this person who brought them to the Washington State GOP tried to go to the Secretary of State, tried to go to their congressperson, tried to go to everybody, and nobody was doing anything about it. Well, now every single media outlet in town has covered the story. So now the Secretary of State's office is under fire and King County Elections is under fire. Well, thanks to our amazing listener, Beth, we just got the response from King County Elections. King County Elections just released this statement. Election mail found in Renton is under review. Last week, Washington State Republican Chairman and State Representative Jim Walsh posted a video on social media claiming that a box of outbound unvoted ballots from previous elections was found by a dumpster in Renton. Since being made aware of the ballots, King County Elections has been working closely with both local and federal law enforcement, the Secretary of State, and the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Earlier today, the United States Postal Inspection Service took custody of the ballots and is collaborating with the Renton Police Department on the investigation. Because the mail included both out-of-state and federal election mail, Elections is coordinating with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. That's right, it is confirmed. The FBI is now looking into this. Under initial review, the ballots appear to all be outgoing ballots that were not picked up by the voter after being delivered to a private mailbox location. Okay, this is all fine. So now we may get some real answers. Now here's where it goes off the rails. Julie Weiss, who's King County Elections Director, who, shall we just say, is as partisan as they come. She wrote this. Not we're going to get to the bottom of it. Not we're going to figure out what's going on. Instead, she wrote this. Representative Walsh claims to care about security of our elections and the health of our democracy. If that were the case, the responsible thing to do would have been to immediately turn over any undelivered mail to the authorities. This is clearly an effort to push a false narrative about elections and vote by mail. Stop. Stop, 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 stop. You're blaming Jim Walsh for the fact that somebody brought him a box of ballots, which you guys sent out and didn't get back and didn't wonder why? Here's the other thing. If they had been brought to you guys, we know what would have happened. We know that they may have disappeared. Oh, there's nothing to see here. Yeah, we're investigating, and then I would have had to do public disclosure requests. And then down the road, like a year or two from now, we'd have a story for you that King County says there's no harm, no foul, nothing. No, it was just they were sent, and it was bad. And our elections are the most secure elections you've ever seen. You're blaming Jim Walsh for this? You're blaming Jim Walsh for this. This exposes massive problems with our voting system. Huge issues with our voting system. Secretary of State's office has been actively involved in this process, as reminding voters of the proper actions to take if you come into possession of someone else's ballot. If someone comes across an undelivered ballot, they should return it to the sender, said Washington State Secretary of State Steve Hobbs, to cover up what you guys are doing. Is that it? They should be turned over to law enforcement when requested, not opened or posted on social media. Every eligible voter in Washington deserves to exercise their constitutional right to vote. Now that the ballots are in law enforcement custody, an unbiased investigation can take place. Stop. Full stop right there. As far as I'm concerned, this is like marine salvage. You find a boat adrift in the middle of international waters, it's yours. These were in the garbage next to a dumpster. Julie Weiss is really mad. She says, there was no opportunity for fraud here, and holding on to other people's ballots to make a public spectacle is unethical. Stop. Stop right there. Somebody else was holding these ballots. Somebody else found these ballots. Somebody gave them to Jim Walsh, and they are from multiple years' elections. Give me a break, Julie Weiss. You know what? We're going to reach out to Julie Weiss. We're going to reach out to King County elections. I want to hear what she has to say. This is insane. You're blaming Jim Walsh for this? You guys have had problems with mail-in ballots for literally as long as you have had this system, and you have refused to do anything about it. In fact, you have so many disenfranchised voters now, and this is probably exactly what you wanted. They said both the original ballot and the replacement are uniquely tied to the individual, but only one ballot will ever be accepted per voter. Give me a break. We know that's not true. No ballot will ever be opened and counted without first verifying the voter's signature to ensure it was voted by the intended recipient. Okay, I disproved this the other day with my son. So my son is now 18 years old. He's living abroad for the year. He came home for spring break. I had saved for him, what came in the mail was his voter registration. So his voter registration came in the mail. Did not ask for any of his info, did not require any of his info. All he had to do was fill out a form and provide his signature. So now let's say I move into a new house, and all of a sudden they got a kid or somebody else who is now of age, gets a voter registration thing. I can now register as that kid with a signature that will match every single time. Do you think that's secure? How about my other son who managed to register online to vote here in Washington without providing any ID whatsoever? Do you think that's secure? That is not secure. Not at all. So we're going to take this statement, and tomorrow we're going to have Jim Walsh on the show, and we're going to ask him about the statement. But in addition to that, I'm going to reach out to Steve Hobbs' office. I'm going to reach out to Julie Wise's office. Steve Hobbs has never come on the show before. He refuses to come on the show. Julie Wise, did we have somebody from King County elections not too long ago? I don't recall or not. We're going to reach out to her office and say, why are you blaming Jim Walsh for this? Why are you mad at him? We're going to reach out to her office and see if she's willing to come on the show. And now the federal government's involved, and I think that a lot more of you have confidence in the federal government to actually solve this. So let me ask you this. Do you have confidence in the FBI? Do you have confidence in President's Post-Inspector General? Do you have confidence in this now getting solved? And what do you think would have happened if Jim Walsh had just returned these to King County elections without posting the video he did? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Look, the Trump administration, you like them, you don't like them, they're good at getting things done. You know all the problems we've had with air traffic control towers? How many of them were because of outdated technology? Sean Duffy was on Fox News earlier today talking about he's holding floppy disks. Okay, children, if you don't know what a floppy disk is, the save icon on any program that you use, we used to have disks that we would have to shove into computers to make them work. And that was the latest generation of what you're looking at now. The old ones looked more like square records with a hole in the middle of it.
I hate to tell you, but most of our audience knows what a floppy disk looks like.
I'm sure they do. But this is for, actually, I would turn that around, sir. No, they don't. They didn't use those on one end. They didn't use them on the other end, my friend. Think about it that way. Yes, the floppy disks. I know. I saw this one time where a kid goes, why do you have a 3D printed version of the save icon? That was great when you saw those little plastic guys. Couldn't run your computer games or any other program with that. You couldn't play Oregon Trail without your floppy disk in your Macintosh.
If I remember correctly, you couldn't get online. You had to have a floppy disk with AOL
to
get online originally.
I got 100 hours in the mail like once a week or something, and then you use them as coasters. I like the people who turned them into things that hang from your rear view mirror. I never understood that, putting the CDs there.
Remember people doing that out in like the trees or something? If you have fruit that you don't want birds to come and eat, you'd put them and hang those because they flash around. They'd keep them away.
It messes up the birds?
Yeah, they see it all like, oh, what's that? I don't want to fly down there and eat that apple.
Different uses for CDs. Okay.
That's what I was told. I don't know if it was just a bunch of nonsense.
Oh, it could have just been they like decorating the tree that way. Well, here's Sean Duffy holding a bunch of, and these aren't floppy disks like you and I know, Kevin. These are the floppy disks from like the space program. And I don't mean Artemis. These are the old school floppy disks that he's holding while having this discussion.
They use these paper flight strips, and one controller will pass off an airplane to the next controller by passing a strip of paper. We are going to digitize all of that. 17 towers are already done. Air traffic controllers love it. But by the way, many of the younger viewers might not know what this is, but this is a floppy disk. This runs the computer system in aviation, and the problem with what we face today at the FAA and DOT is that 25 years ago, and you're aware of this, John, was that the FAA promised with next gen they were going to get rid of all this old equipment and build it brand new. The Congress spent billions of dollars and nothing was built. So today it was important to say, less than a year ago, I stood on the same stage and laid out the plan to build a brand new air traffic control system. I got the money from Congress, $12.5 billion, about 6.5 months ago. And in 6.5 months, we have made leaps and bounds of progress in building out this new system. We can have it completed in 2.5 years, get rid of all of this old equipment. But then at the same time, we need more money for brand new software. And the software is the magic that's going to allow us to reduce delays and cancellations and truncate the time in which you're going to have to fly. This is all really important, what we talked about today, but the software is magical.
So the software is what I'm concerned about. And I'll tell you why I'm concerned about this. I love the Trump administration.
No, but they're up to date now. They got rid of the floppy disks. Now they're on CD-ROM.
Oh,
so
excellent.
Everything's good now.
Oh, we're solid now.
Okay.
We got that. In fact, we still have dial-up modems. Mom, hang up the phone. Ma, I was downloading the theme song of ER for my friends. It was going to take all night.
I only had 45 more hours to go. The scrubber was 2%.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Well, what I'm worried about is who's doing the software. Is this something where you're partnering with big companies, or is this somebody's nephew who knows how to make software for airlines? I mean, I got to assume it's got to be better than anything else, but what you don't want is you don't want something plagued with bugs going forward. Think about this. They were still doing air traffic control on paper strips. This is stuff you've seen in old movies. You know what? Argo had this. So Argo is about, the hostages escaping Iran, the ones who managed to get out of the building beforehand. And, in the big scene at the end when they're rushing to the airport and the Swiss Air is trying to take off and they have the tower and the terrorists come to the tower, they're using the paper ones. That's what they were using in the 1970s. And by then, we already had computers. And we're still using that stuff. That was Tehran, though.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody is surprised by this because, I'm not even the biggest consumer of news, which should shock a lot of you out there.
Yes.
How's this guy on the show? No, but I mean, every 2 or 3 years, maybe even once a year, they do a story for the past 15, 20 years on how archaic the way that our traffic control is done. And I don't know how many administrations it's gone through where it's something really needs to be done. And then new administration, something really needs to be done.
And nothing's done.
I've seen so many reports, none of this shocks me, what he's showing me. I'm like, yeah, I know the whole paper thing. The little slider deals, they move one over and up to the top or whatever. Yeah.
You know what's crazy to me is I forget it wasn't Pushing 10, which was an air traffic control
Which
movie.
is the most famous probably.
Right. No, it was something else. It wasn't Die Hard 2. It was something where there was an air traffic control thing. I remember somebody saying, yeah, we went to look at air traffic control, but it was so outdated, we need to make something the audience would believe. So this one's all high tech. You're Die Hard 2, perfect example. So the army terrorists take over the church and build this high-tech looking portable thing. Oh my God, they've got all our equipment. Turns out all you needed was a floppy drive and a stack of paper, and you could have crashed that plane into the ground. Outer marker, my you-know-what. Yeah, give me a break with all that. Absolutely crazy.
I think one of the bigger problems was that I've always heard too is that the stuff that's set up there is pretty permanent.
Yeah.
Right? You've got the tower. So to switch over, there's got to be some time. There's got to be some downtime.
Right. You got to shut down the tower. You got to look.
There is no downtime.
Well, there's things you can do, right? But you got to rip out all the electronics of that place. And then what happens? You find out, well, none of this cabling works. We got to take all the cabling out of the ground. Well, the power we have isn't going to be able to power all this because now we got all this electronic stuff. Before, all they needed for was the coffee maker or the lights. And now you got to do all that too. I mean, you're talking about, they may even say, towers are kind of obsolete. I don't know why we're even building this thing up here anymore.
Right.
If you could do everything digitally, why do you need to actually look at it unless the robots take over? Then you got to verify it with your site.
Right. And I think it's always been hey, if things really, really hit the fan, you at least have to have some visuals of what's going on.
To look out there,
Yeah.
right. Those guys in submarines still have ways of looking out the window somehow when they're doing navigation, right? Well, they're spending $20 billion on this. Here's more from Fox News regarding the upgrade.
Today is the first time we're getting a look at not just the old technology that's in some air traffic control towers right now, but also the new technology, state-of-the-art, that's going to replace it. So take a look at this. These are the old radar systems that air traffic controllers have been using since the mid to late 1980s, and these are the new radar systems that will replace this technology. Already, Congress has approved $12.5 billion for this massive overhaul of the system. Take a look at what the Department of Transportation is already doing with that money. They're renovating 90 air traffic control towers. They're converting to digital 25,000 radios and 400 voice switches, replacing 600 radar systems, and updating the structures, telecommunication structures, to wireless. Another example of the old technology that they use, these are paper flight strips that air traffic controllers use to see which planes are taking off, landing, and taxiing. All of this is going to be replaced with this digital system so they can keep track of everything right on the screens in front of them.
You know what this makes me think of, though? The helicopter crash about a year ago when President Trump first took office. You remember that helicopter crash? And this was the kind of thing that opened everybody's eyes. It was the one out of Reagan, where how can these planes be flying so close together? How could something like this possibly happen? And then you find out all the problems you have in the FAA. How many lives could have been saved if this had been done years ago? How many disasters could have been averted if this had been done years ago? And just like Kevin just said, every year you hear some story about how outdated the technology in the control center was. I heard a story last year that they were buying replacement parts on eBay because it was so hard to find this kind of stuff. How many lives could have been saved? How much property could have been saved? How much destruction could have been stopped if we had up-to-date systems and nobody actually dealt with this? Plenty of presidents promised to do something about this, Republican and Democrat. None of them did. It was President Trump who finally did something about it. Yeah, well, I don't think that kind of common sense is coming here to Seattle. Because now that Katie Wilson has said we're turning off all the traffic cameras, somebody else has an idea. Let's bring in the drones. So you can't use the cameras to keep track of the crime, but you can use the drones. My head's going to explode. We'll give you all the details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just to remind you, for those of you that missed the keyword at 4 o'clock today, we're having another contest going on right now. We are giving away a 4-pack of tickets to the Bremerton Air Show, but you can only enter to win at kvi.com. Just head on over to the contest page over there. The 2026 Bremerton Air Show is taking flight July 11th through 12th at Bremerton National Airport. The show will be a celebration of classic military aircraft and world-class aerobatic performers. I can't speak English right now. What just happened? Take a breath, Hoffman. Recoup. World-class aerobatic performers. Don't assume what it says. Just read the page. Hoffman reads the teleprompter. There we go. Performers include an F-86 Sabre, a P-40 Kitty Hawk, an F-6F Hellcat, plus a PBY Catalina, and so much more. For all the details, head on over to bremertonairshow.com. That's bremertonairshow.com. And make sure you sign up for your chance to win over at kvi.com. That's kvi.com. Well, remember how Katie Wilson, our socialist mayor, said that she's turning off all the cameras around here because, ICE might be using them? Is ICE in the room with you now, Katie Wilson? So you don't care about the human trafficking that usually goes along with big events like this? You don't care about crime at all? Let's just do it to stick it to Trump, right? Well, I saw this today and I'm laughing. So they turned off all these traffic cameras. But now, according to Como News, with the FIFA World Cup games just a few weeks away, law enforcement is set to protect Seattle on the world stage after years of planning. Adding to their toolkit, the King County Sheriff's Office is deploying new counter-drone technology that was paid for with around $12 million in federal grants for World Cup security. Hang on a second. The new drone detection systems will help law enforcement quickly identify drones that are violating temporary flight restrictions. Okay, because you have no drone zones. But don't you also have cameras on these? Oh, ICE might be using them. ICE might be using the drones. Do you realize that Katie Wilson basically just put out a sign to the entire world that, hey, Seattle, we're not going to be able to catch you if you commit a crime or a terrorist act here during the World Cup? It's like, look, Kevin and I were discussing this earlier. You know what you can get away with in Seattle with speeding and driving like a maniac because you know nobody's going to pull you over. Well, now imagine a nefarious individual who's coming to town, say, to watch the game between Iraq and Egypt. So somebody who's coming to town to see the game with Iran against Egypt. Because nobody from Iran wants to do anything bad to the U.S. right now. They know they can get away with whatever they want. It's beyond insane. Bonkers crazy, you might actually say. This one here, what are our priorities here in Seattle? According to Como News, pickleball players are pushing back against Seattle Parks and Recreation proposal that suggests removing more than 30 pickleball courts across several neighborhoods in the city. Okay, here's my issue with pickleball. Somebody want to back me up on this? Isn't it just a tennis court? I mean, I understand the lines are different, but aren't they multi-use? I've never played pickleball, but from what I understand, it's a tennis court with different lines on it, right? Just asking.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm sure we've got 50 million people listening that are.
Yes.
And we're going to hear about it on the text line.
Yes.
But it first came into my orbit, I think, in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And we would play it on the basketball courts because some of the basketball courts had
the different lines on them.
Different lines.
Yeah.
We'd sometimes, when I got into high school, it was out on the tennis courts. But yeah, my understanding is a little smaller.
It's a little bit smaller, but those are the lines that I didn't know.
The inner line. Yeah,
right. I didn't know what those lines did when I was a kid on the
Yeah.
tennis court. I just knew there were smaller lines, and I knew they were for something called pickleball.
You know, pickleball was invented here.
I heard something about
Bainbridge
that.
Island.
Right over here, right?
Yeah.
In fact, isn't it our state sport is now
think- yeah,
pickleball?
I
I think
think
the
so.
legislature did something about that.
It was funny because we used to, like I said, we used to play it in middle school and especially around here. I grew up around here.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at the time, even when I was like 13, 14, this isn't real. This isn't real. And then as an adult, way later on, all of a sudden this pickleball craze starts happening. And I was like, wow, that actually became a thing.
So back me up on this or explain this to me. Either way, because I'm having trouble understanding this whole thing. In Westchester, where I grew up, you had to go to tennis camp. You were forced to go to tennis camp. I sucked at tennis. but I went to tennis camp.
You had to go to tennis camp?
I had to go to tennis camp.
This East Coast hoity-toity nonsense
I agree
that you
with
guys
you.
did. You got to go to summer camp every year. You got to go to tennis camp.
Tennis camp. Tennis camp was driving. You went home at night. Now, tennis camp had its perks because, like, you could go in the morning and catch a Mets game in the afternoon. There were perks. This was like a day camp kind of thing, but you had to go to tennis camp. If you didn't go to tennis camp, there were problems. So you go to tennis camp, right? I play tennis.
Yes, okay.
Oh, okay. But here's my thing. Is pickleball a better workout than tennis? Is it? It seems like it's more exhausting because it's faster paced a little bit. Am I wrong about that?
I think tennis is faster paced, and you've got more ground to cover.
I got you.
But like
it seems
that rubber ball coming off. You ever hit a wiffle ball? I mean, it's basically a giant wiffle ball.
Okay.
It's not like you can hit. Like, it only goes as fast as it can go because of
so
like
it's
the air
not
resistance.
faster paced.
I don't think so. Yeah, that's why you got a lot of, no offense, a lot of older people, and I'm one of them.
Sure.
Where they pick up pickleball because tennis is too much for them, so now they could switch over to pickleball.
So pickleball. Okay, so then here's something I need to know. I need to know the death statistics on pickleball because I saw that somebody who was actually a mentor of Charlie Kirk's died playing pickleball the other day, and I go, is that a heart attack? Is that a trip and fall?
It's got to be a heart attack.
It's got to be something like that. Is that like people our age shouldn't be playing any sports anymore? What are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, look, obviously the older you get, the I guess the more dangerous it is for your heart rate to go up in some cases. But
sure.
like you're not going to stop doing exercise because.
Oh,
I mean,
that was my excuse this whole time. I'm getting older, so I shouldn't exercise anymore because something bad might happen to me. Yeah, but Ari, if you don't exercise, something bad is going to happen to you.
I think the case against something like tennis and pickleball and even basketball as you get older is you're just begging for your knee to blow out.
Yes.
Your meniscus, you get some sort of tear, ACL.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're pivoting and moving quick, it's bad on the knees, it's bad on the ankles.
The thing that really got me motivated to lose weight, there's a bunch of things, but one of them was my knees are killing me, absolutely killing me. And I go to my doctor buddy, and I said, "Hey, dude, what's going on here? Like, what can I do about this?" He goes, "Oh, you want my professional medical advice?" And I go, "Yeah, what's up?" And he goes, "You're fat."
Mm-hmm.
I go, "Excuse me?" And he like, we could talk like this, it's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "For every pound extra on your limbs, it's like 3 pounds on your body. Or, excuse me, on your body, it's on your limbs. So your knees are like, dude, you used to be 40 pounds lighter. This is exhausting carrying your fat you-know-what around. Can you lose some weight, Shamu? Can you do that for me?" And he goes, "That's why your knees are killing you." I went to try go bike riding the other day, and my knees are just absolutely killing me. And there's nothing wrong with them. It's just I'm overweight. So this is something that I'm motivated to do now. Yes, so good for me. I'm just debating this pickleball business, but I hear it's hard to get a court. So now they want to get rid of all the courts that we have, or a whole bunch of them here. As popularity of pickleball exploded during the pandemic, Seattle's Park and Rec added pickleball court lines to numerous tennis courts to create shared use or dual courts. Now, under a draft racket sports strategy, the city is looking to remove those lines and more clearly separate tennis and pickleball facilities. So it's not so much they're getting rid of them. It's more they want to have, here's your tennis courts, here's your pickleball courts. Now, for me, I think that's especially stupid. If you want to build more multi-use courts, go ahead. But what if pickleball's a fad? Right?
Yeah, well, here's the other thing that I don't know if this mentions this as well, but there's a big sort of a movement of people that like tennis who did not like the pickleball.
Uh-huh.
They don't like the fact that this thing became so popular, it started invading their courts, and now they couldn't find a place where they'd have open courts to play tennis at.
Right.
And there was some stories that were out there that oftentimes, because of something like pickleball, it has saved a lot of these places that relied on tennis for so long, where they finally acquiesced and were like, look, we're leaving money on the table if we don't paint this stuff, these lines, and have the pickleball people come in, because everybody wants to play that right now, not so much tennis.
Right. And
also, I think it's also cheap. It's cheaper. I think the equipment, I mean, now I'm sure they got some crazy expensive equipment.
Yeah.
But the equipment was cheaper than tennis.
Those rackets are a gajillion dollars. I think I still have my racket, my tennis racket from tennis camp, because I'm like, I'm not throwing this out. I don't care how old it is. I know what I paid for this sucker.
Yeah, if you want a good one, it's like golf.
Right. These are the expensive people sports. So these are expensive things. Now, I'll say is that The tennis people are probably also upset because I know that oftentimes I'd go past the tennis courts and nobody was anywhere within range of those places. So they're probably, the few people that are left to play tennis are probably like, hey, we want our tennis courts back. Pickleball people are like, move aside, old man. We're the wave of the future. Or
move aside
young man,
middle-aged people.
I don't know.
Yeah, old people, and we're the future.
Yeah. Either way. Well, anywho, drama over soon you're going to see a knifing over the pickleball courts, a shooting, a dispute over pickleball versus tennis led to a shooting on a court. What is leading to shootings, actually, is the homeless situation around here. And up next, my friends, Fox News had another special talking about everybody's favorite city, Seattle, and how Homeless First is failing. We'll give you the full details when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder so that you never miss a minute of the show, sign up for our podcast on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. We've been switching over podcast platforms, so now we probably shouldn't have those tech issues some of you were having a while ago. Make sure you sign up, make sure you rate, make sure you share while you are over there. Fox News back in Seattle, because Seattle makes international news for all the wrong reasons. Fox News was here talking about the rise of socialism in Seattle in the second part of their multi-part series. The first one featured yours truly, talking about Katie Wilson, her anti-police rhetoric. Well, this one is about the failed housing first model. Now, what I like about what Fox News did, they didn't just go along with Jonathan Cho and Andrea Suarez. I mean, they did do that. They also went to people like Sean Scott, the socialist member of the Washington State Legislature who represents Seattle. And what's funny is you hear him in this video talking about how awesome everything is and how good. Oh, we still got to solve it. Well, is it socialism's fault? No, of course not. Here, we're going to do some bits and pieces of this with commentary here. Give a listen.
I keep seeing the same recurring types of crime. I see homeless encampments being moved around. It's been really tough, and we're not seeing any real good solutions. We have a new mayor in the city. I'm hoping she's going to step up and do something different than the last mayor, and it just hasn't happened yet.
We're all a little worried about what this current administration will bring. I think it all goes to the experience of what does the average business owner or person living in neighborhoods are able to see. Do we feel safer?
And to all those who opposed my election and are skeptical of my leadership.
Katie Wilson, a first-time candidate with no political background.
I'm very aware that there is anxiety and fear in some circles. Standing up to Trump.
Seattle, where you have a liberal/communist mayor.
I say tough luck.
Does not have any experience.
A new era of leadership. I say this is your city too. As a progressive and as a socialist, I believe in good governance.
We've cleared hundreds of thousands of pounds of trash through this beautiful area. It is the #1 viewpoint for Seattle's downtown, and it's been completely destroyed by drug addiction. My name is Andrea Suarez. My title is founder and executive director of We Heart Seattle. In one afternoon, we picked up several hundred pieces of foil in the off-leash dog park, near the children's playgrounds, and the memorials and the pagoda that's over here as well. Every one of these foils, was a pill. It could have been a potential overdose. You can see there's needles as well. And oftentimes we'll find that the drugs are still rolled up in the foil and they get dropped. And we've had several hundred cases of overdoses and poisoning of infants and dogs. King County Behavioral Health is now handing out paperwork on how to reverse an overdose of your dog. That's how bad it is. That's how prevalent this is in our shared spaces.
There are new questions tonight after a homeless encampment in West Seattle was swept, despite Mayor Katie Wilson's promise to take a different approach.
I'm talking to people around the city, and they know. They say, okay, there's an encampment in my park. I don't like it. The city's going to sweep it next week, and I know they're going to be back the week after. So what we're doing now is not working.
The city.
Okay, we're going to stop there for a second. So then if you said all that wasn't working, why are you still doing it? You said sweeps didn't work. You stopped that encampment sweep out in Ballard before a few days later going ahead with it, probably to satisfy your activists. I have long contended that what I think is happening is that Katie Wilson is doing whatever she can so that the World Cup looks good. The 50,000 tons of trash and needles and sharps they've removed, they were fine with it beforehand, but now that the World Cup's coming, let's clean up Seattle. They keep clearing these homeless encampments out of parks, and guess what? People keep on coming right on back. What they want is they want to be able to say, look how beautiful our city is. Look what we did for the World Cup. Wasn't it amazing? People like Ari Hoffman, Jonathan Cho, Andrea Suarez, they're all a bunch of liars. That's what they want to be able to do. And then the second the World Cup's over, it's going to come back with a vengeance. Like I told you earlier in the show, I already see RVs that are being swept out of Soto, and you go, how do you know they're the same RV? Some of these are very unique. They're now over in Georgetown. I can tell you exactly where they are. You want to go check them out. They even have garbage cans being delivered to them by the city. So what does socialists like Sean Scott say about all this?
His policy for at least a decade has been to spend upwards of $10 million a year on homeless encampment sweeps. That is the policy of the current mayoral administration. It is the policy of mayoral administrations going back to at least 2017 in the city. So I would ask people whether or not you feel that the policies with respect to criminalizing homelessness are working.
Okay, first of all, let's do this. That is a lie. It is not criminalizing homelessness. It goes, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And the problem is they don't get them into services. They don't actually arrest the felons who have multiple warrants out. And they just say, you can't be here, but if you go over there, it's going to take us another few weeks till we can clear that spot, or that spot, or that spot, or that spot. We're not criminalizing the homeless. And here's something else, Sean Scott. If a relative of yours, God forbid, was out on the streets, would you want them living in a tiny home? Katie Wilson, if God forbid, a relative of yours was out on the streets, would you want to shove them in a tiny home? Would you want to say, oh, it's compassionate to leave them sleeping on that tent on a sidewalk? I think not.
I'm Washington State Representative Sean Scott, and I represent the 43rd Legislative District in the Washington State House of Representatives. If you're somebody who's paid attention to Seattle and the work that has been done over the years to try to house some of our houseless neighbors, I think what you understand very clearly is that criminalizing houselessness is a recipe for continued ineffectiveness on this issue.
Nobody's actually criminalized anything. And in fact, if we did threaten people with jail because of drugs, treatment because of mental health, get them into institutions, or actually arresting the felons that are committing the crimes on the streets, then maybe things would be better. He has no plan. What is his plan? Oh, we're going to build more housing. We're going to build more housing, more tiny homes. We'll just shove more people inside. Well, they're not accepting services. You going to force them to go? That's not going to work out. You guys have tried that before. Just saying, oh, it's just a house first. No, you're saying there is no price for that house. You want to go there and do drugs? Fine. You want to go there and be a felon on the run? Fine. You want to go there and be an illegal immigrant? Fine. No problem. We'll let you do whatever you want inside these houses. We're not going to touch it. And that's why housing first is a complete failure. A complete failure because there's no strings that go with it. There's no we expect you to get a job. There's no we expect you to get treatment. It's just, well, actually, like our friend Art was saying yesterday from Battlefield Addiction, it's like the aunt that takes the kid in who's a drug addict because they feel bad for them. The kid hasn't hit rock bottom because of the city of Seattle. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line, take a call from Chris in Bonnie Lake. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy, it's your fellow April 12th.
You keep giving out my birthday. Somebody's going to hack my identity sooner or later. What's up, man?
Right. Dude, so you know this. I'm just going to repeat it. We really, really, really need to quit using the term homeless.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, what do you think? Vagrant? Taxpayer subsidized drug addict? What do we go with?
Drug addict.
Okay, so then that's what we're going to
drug
do.
addict.
It doesn't roll off the tongue as easily, but I say taxpayer-funded drug addict. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Taxpayer-funded drug addict. Taxpayer-subsidized drug addict. And that's what we'll call the housing as well. Appreciate the call, buddy. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your weekend commute. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And I have this story here, which is bad news for me, but it's good news for everybody else. The New York Mets are once again a laughing stock in the entire country. What's going on? The Mets have lost 11 games in a row. No team has ever made the playoffs after losing 10 games in a row. So a lot of people are saying, oh, the season's over and it's April. There's a lot of games left to play, but I don't have a lot of hope. The problem was the Mets gutted their entire team in the offseason. There's a lot of theories why, but they didn't get anybody to really replace them. They still don't have a first baseman. The coach isn't doing well, and it's all bad news everywhere. So us as Mets fans, we're very, very used to this. Mariners fans know what this is like. Sometimes you embrace the garbage. Sometimes you embrace the suckiness. So now for me, hey, if we're going to do a streak, I want a streak done right. We've lost 11 in a row. I want to see 12 in a row. How are the Mets doing tonight, by the way? Let's just head on over here. Well, they were up 3-0 in the third, but now the Twins have managed to get 2 in the 6th. So now we're up 3-2 in the 7th inning, and I'm kind of rooting against my own team. I kind of just want them to lose at this point. There's so many things they've done that have pissed off so many of us. We're all just like, yep, just take the loss, man.
You know you're the only one that cares about that listening.
Well, hang on. I'm going to make this better. Here's why.
Well, you better.
I'm about to make this better.
You're talking about the Mets in Seattle. We don't give a rip.
I'm about to make this better.
We want them to lose. We want them to have a worse losing streak.
That's why I said this is good news for everybody else.
Go for it.
That you all get to hang this over me. A few weeks ago, when this all started, that game, Zoran Mamdani hugged Mr. and Mrs. Met, the mascots for the New York Mets. Yes, there's even little kitty Mets. They have a whole family now. So he hugs Mr. and Mrs. Met, and they promptly proceed to lose 11 straight games. So today, during a press conference, Zoran Mamdani was asked if he will take the name The Great Mambino instead of The Great Gambino, right? As the big curse for the New York Mets.
When you hugged Mr. Met. So I wonder how you feel about being blamed for the Mets' failure to perform, and also if there's anything you can do to relieve the curse that has now been put on the team.
I'll first say that there's a lot of baseball left to be played, and I am still keeping the faith, as I know that many Mets fans are across the city, though I will accept being addressed as Mayor Mambino for the day.
So is there anything that you can do to help them? I mean, can you wave a magic wand and say the curse is gone?
I will keep my fingers crossed, as every Mets fan does, and I think that this is part and parcel of what it means to be the mayor. You take it in stride.
Okay, this reporter sucks. Because you know what I would have used that as an opportunity for? The Babylon Bee had a great headline the other day about all this. The Babylon Bee says, Zoran Mamdani instructs other teams to redistribute their wins to the Mets, which I thought that was great. I thought that was really, really good. But it would have been here, it would have been like, who's your favorite Met? You claim you're a Met fan. Who's your favorite Met? Who's your all-time favorite Met? Who's your favorite Met from the 1969? Because Zoran Mamdani's never honest about anything. Ask him from 1969, who's your favorite Met? When did you start following the Mets? What was your favorite game you went to with your family in Uganda while you were growing up? I would have had a lot of fun with this. I don't like the people who are fake. I don't like fake. You could say I don't follow baseball. You could say that. I do not believe for 1 second this guy is a fan of the Mets or the Yankees, for that matter. If you want to see something really funny, I got this social media post of this one guy, Sid Rosenberg. He's now so mad that he has now switched over and become a full-on Yankees fan. As mad as I get at the Mets, that day will never come. Somebody said to me, I think it was my wife, she said, what would you do before becoming a Yankees fan? I said, I will get one of those teal jerseys, and I will grab a trident, and I will cheer for the Mariners more than anybody else before I would ever become a Yankee fan.
You should really just do that anyways. Why would you even hold on to the Mets now that you've lived here longer than there, right?
No. One more year until then.
One more year.
One more year.
We will accept you. We will accept you. It's time, dude. It's time.
Just bring it on over. Embrace it. Embrace it. Not my jam. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, more opportunities to try and convince me to become a Mariners fan. You've been listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.